and Karun Nair has broken the record down. It's interesting you mentioned the past and mentioned Pujara and Kohli, two of the three greatest batters India's ever produced. And all the best batters in the world aspire to bat at three at some point or the other. It's exactly the same debate that we had when Rishabh Pant came in and Ridhiman Saha was around. You're such a cricket lover, man. I didn't know that. You're picking up all these little things. Little fellow that no one talks about. His name is Ben Duckett. And I think Ashwin's success is in a large part because he understands the whole reality of spin bowling.
Watch the India tour of England. It's here, 3:30 p.m. First test, June 20th onwards, live on Sony Sports 10.1 and Sony Sports 10.5. And if you fancy watching it in the national language and regional languages, Sony Sports 10.3 in Hindi. And the Tamil and Telugu versions are on Sony Sports 10.4, where you can choose your language. Harsha Bhogle, the stalwart of Indian and global broadcasting, is part of the English panel, and we're delighted to have him. Hi, great to see you. How are you?
I am so happy with the way you said Tamil. I like to see words pronounced as they are and learn all the time. So, well done. Good to see you doing well.
Thank you, Harsha. Well, Karun Nair's double century as part of India A in, leading up to the first test. Do you think that ensures he's a certainty in the playing 11 on Friday?
I would like to believe so because I like to see happy endings for a lot of great efforts that's gone in. And we often say, as a cricket lover, you've heard it said before that if you're knocking on the door and no one's listening, then just break the door down. And Karun Nair has broken the door down. And now you cannot say, sorry, I just put another door up there. So it'll be one of the great stories if he can come back and do well. But I don't think you should let the story get tainted by what happens once he gets the opportunity again, because that is merely another little part of it. The fact that he has done what he has to come to where he is a fantastic story, and I only wish him well, because it'll tell all of us that if the door seems to be shut, it never really is.
As Indians, we're a little more fixated on the past than other species. It takes us a little time to unwrap our head around the past. And the past has been Cheteshwar Pujara at 3, Virat Kohli at 4, giving us that solid sense of security. Now, at number 3, this conundrum. Who would you send? Because it's obvious Shubman wants to bat at 4. So, Abhimanyu Easwaran or Sai Sudarshan, and why, Harsha?
It's interesting you mentioned the past and mentioned Pujara and Kohli. We go a little further back and you think Rahul Dravid and Sachin Tendulkar. And the only reason I'm saying Rahul Dravid and Sachin Tendulkar is because can you imagine those two not playing? Two of the three greatest batters India's ever produced. A nice little holy trinity up there. And yet after that, you saw Pujara and Kohli come along. So I'm optimistic that we will have another duo. We don't know the identity of the duo. Isn't that exciting? It's like going to a movie. I don't know what I'm going to see. There are these wonderful young actors there. I've seen them on stage. I've seen them in a little 20-minute series somewhere. But let's see if they can hold a 2.5-hour movie. That is what I'm excited about. The final place, Hrishi, always goes on a hunch. So people will have seen how Sai Sudarshan is looking, how he's batting, how he's handling situations. I can assure you, with someone like Gautam Gambhir or even with someone like BVS Lakshman who's there at the moment, they will put both of them into tough situations in simulation and they will see how they're going. And so it'll be a choice between a Sai Sudarshan and an Abhimanyu Easwaran based on, at that moment, who they just have a hunch about. Because Gill wants to bat at 4. I don't actually mind Gill batting at 4, Though I was happy with him at 3. I thought his natural home was at 3. And all the best batters in the world aspire to bat at 3 at some point or the other.
The need for that specialist spinner or not? There are lots who say Kuldeep Yadav should play as a specialist spinner. And then there's them that say Washi as well as Jadeja, who can spin and bat, would be more relevant to the cause. Which way would you go?
It's exactly the same debate that we had when Rishabh Pant came in and Ridhiman Saha was around. One of India's best ever wicket keepers. But the package that the other person offered was, as a combination, was much better. Maths में एक ज़्यादा अच्छा है, लेकिन इसका दोनों math science add करो तो the combination was a little better. So at that point, I was in the Saha camp, though I discovered that the Pant combination was the more alluring, and so I was happy to correct myself. At the moment, you're saying, yes, I want Kuldeep. Can he bat at number 8? Because in increasingly low total scenarios in Test cricket, the contributions of the tail become crucial. So I foresee, if it's a warm summer and if the pitches are drier, I foresee Kuldeep Yadav playing and India taking a punt on Jadeja at 7, Kuldeep at 8, and 3 fast bowlers after that. And tell Kuldeep, listen, give me 20 runs at number 8 and give me a partnership of 50-60 there. So it depends on the conditions. If they're still 20, 21 degrees, a little heavy, then you want a Nitish Reddy or a Shardul.
You know, everybody was very impressed by Shardul's performance overseas. And it was a foregone conclusion that if it was a Shardul versus Nitish scenario, Shardul would get there because of experience. Now, if there is that specialist all-rounders slot, all of a sudden, Morne Morkel has thrown a spanner in the works. He's gone on to Cricinfo and said, quote unquote, Nitish can bowl the magical ball. So doubts about Nitish's bowling versus his batting suddenly seem to have dissipated after the bowling coach's comment. Would you rather play Shardul or Nitish?
It depends on what I think of my 3 fast bowlers. If I think my 3 fast bowlers are going to give me anywhere between 18 and 20 overs in a day, and they're looking good, then I don't mind having the extra batting of Nitish over the extra bowling of Shardul Thakur. So it depends on how I see the structure of my team. Do I want greater batting depth and someone to bowl 10 overs maybe? Then I'm going Nitish. Do I want someone who I think will give me more wickets and give me 16, 17 overs in the day? Then I'm going Shardul. Because Shardul is a very lion-hearted player. I mean, you look at Shardul Thakur and you say, really? And then what you see on the field is a great triumph of determination and self-belief. But at 8, can you bank runs from him? I don't know. What you get from Shardul Thakur is a bonus. He's giving some fantastic bonuses. So it really goes down to the confidence level of the team. If the team says, Jadeja at 7, I've got those 7 batters, I'll take what I get from Shardul, then it makes sense to play Shardul. If you think that I need a little bit more batting and 10 overs is enough, then I will play Nitish Reddy. Nitish Reddy will also give me the second fastest legs in the team after Jadeja. Now that Kohli is not there, you can say second fastest. But Kohli, Jadeja, and Nitish were the 3 quickest in the team. Nitish gives you that additional. But it's no doubt in my mind that for Nitish Reddy to be a successful player, he's got to find a home at number 6.
As cricket fans, can we allow ourselves to feel a little joy that Jofra Archer, Mark Wood and Gus Atkinson aren't playing this first test? Or are you going to say, look here, red flag, Wokes, Overton and Josh Tongue, that attack is lethal by itself? And a sub-question to Wokes, Overton and Josh Tongue, do you think by some twist of fate they will draft in Sam Cook or Bryden Carse into their playing 11?
They like Bryden Carse. I like Bryden Carse. I see him as one of these typical hard, tough. He's South African origin, that kind of player, and gives you batting as well. But once Wokes comes, you may not need that extra batting because they've got a very, very fine young player who we're going to hear a lot of, for Jamie Smith, and he's down at 7. So in Smith and Stokes at 6 and 7, you always judge a batting side by whether players are batting at a number below where they can bat. So Stokes and Smith can easily bat 5 and 6 in any team, 6 and 7, so they won't need the extra batting. But I'm thinking, listen, if I'm sitting in that Indian change room and I'm thinking Wokes, Overton, Tan, I'm thinking chal match jeet rahe hain. If I start to get worried about those, I've lost my series already before I start. If I see Archer, Wood, Atkinson, I'm thinking, yeah, I've got a fight on hands. So India have got to start the series very well because England have a very inexperienced bowling attack to start off with. So I won't worry. I mean, you always respect. The one thing that sport teaches us more than any other thing it teaches us is when you disrespect the opposition, you get a kick up the backside.
Well said. Yeah.
But I won't disrespect them. But it's not archery then.
Now, being neutral as a cricket lover must be a little tough for Matthew Potts for being left out of that England squad. I mean,
I like him. I'm glad you got that name up.
36
in depth. Every time I've seen Matthew Potts, so I actually asked Michael Vaughan. I said, Potts? I said, people talk about Stone, people talk about Atkinson. I like Potts. And he said, yeah, his time will come. So maybe their view is that he's still next cab of the rank, but not actually still there. But I like Matthew. Look, we don't get to see a lot of that cricket, but whatever I've seen, I like Matthew Potts.
If Bumrah isn't going to play 5 tests, Harsha, that means Prasidh will probably have to play all 5 tests. What is the bowling combo going to be like in tests in which Bumrah doesn't play?
Saurav Ganguly has said Arshdeep Singh. And Arshdeep played a season for Kent in a good summer. Didn't have a lot of success, but he bowled a lot of deliveries. There's always something to be said in favor of a left-hander who swings the ball, and Arshdeep swings it both ways. It's not only the angle that's taking it away from the right-hander, but it's also the swing that's going away from the right-hander. So he's got the skills. I don't know if he's got the strength and the stamina to bowl 20 overs in the day. He should. He's a young man. So sort of reckons that Arshdeep makes a side. Siraj always makes my side. But you've got Arshdeep. You've got Akashdeep, who was so impressive in Australia till he broke down. And then you've got Prasidh. So actually, India's in a situation where you could pick 3 of those. I think Bumrah Prasidh might be more complementary, whereas I'd have Siraj and Akashdeep forming one group, and then see how it goes with Arshdeep. But when Bumrah plays, maybe because he's more effective, you might play Nitish. When Prasidh plays, you might play Shardul. But I'm very keen to see Prasidh. The moment I saw Prasidh Krishna, I thought our next red ball bowler is here. I didn't think white ball player. I'll be very honest. I didn't think white ball player. And I've been so impressed with how he bowled for Gujarat Titans. So if he's fit enough to give you 20 overs, I'm very bullish about Prasidh Krishna.
It's not our captain's age. I mean, 25 is okay. Mansoor Ali Khan Patodi became captain at 21, Sachin Tendulkar at 23. Just thoughts on his maturity level as a player and captain, plus he's captain only in T20 going into this tough tour. Who shall he depend on advice apart from Gambhir, Shubman? Rahul, Bumrah? I'd like to know your thoughts.
You know, Rishi, it's a very Indian thing that as young people, we are told take advice from your elders. It's a very Indian thing. Apne buzurgon se pucho. And of course, he should ask people. And he's very lucky to have VVS Lakshman around him now that Gautam Gambhir is away. Indian cricket, by the way, is lucky to have a lot of wonderful personalities, a lot of very natively honest, simple people around it. Whether it is Anil Kumble, whether it is Rahul Dravid, whether it is VVS Lakshman, some lovely people around there. And Lakshman is a giver. Rahul Dravid is a giver. So he'll benefit from that. Gambhir is a rather more in-your-face personality. But eventually, Gill will have to find out who he is. And that will take time. But he must find out who he is. He must find out whose suggestions are Giles valid, whose suggestions are coming out of insecurity. There will be players who will give suggestions out of their own insecurity. How you learn how to not look at those. What I liked about him in T20 was that he was calm. Luckily he was in good batting form. He was calm, but he'll have to learn. We'll discover how good Gill a captain is when things go against him for 4 hours. Not when things go against you for 25, 30 minutes, which is what happens in T20. When things go against you for 4 hours, if Bumrah is not available, Siraj is looking tired, nothing in there for Jadeja, ab main kahan se match control karu? That will be the making of him. Look, as I was telling somebody, the ingredients are there. Whether the ingredients make a good dish, we don't know. I mean, in our profession as well, you look at someone and say, yeah, he's got a decent voice. Yeah, she's got a presence of mind about her. Yes, she understands the topic. Yeah, he's good. How will you do it when suddenly the lights come on, the mic is on? That is what we're going to test with Gill.
Interesting semi-soap opera playing out in the English batting. I mean, Jacob Bethel's return, missing the Zimbabwe test. Obviously, he was at the IPL.
You're such a cricket lover, man. I didn't know that. You're picking up all these little things. Huh?
I mean, it obviously leaves England in a dilemma. He had a very impressive debut series in New Zealand. He scored 3 half centuries at 3. But then, a lot of people said Zach Crawley, Ollie Pope spots under pressure. But those guys go and score hundreds against Zimbabwe. So will Crawley and Pope both hold on to their places? Or do you think the English selectors will say, let's go with Bethel as opposed to one of them?
I might seem naughty when I say this, but there are instances of people whose careers are stat padded by playing Zimbabwe. So if I was England captain, I would look there and say, yeah, Zimbabwe, Ngarawa is a good bowler, Muzabani is a good bowler, but you had Sikandar Raza bowling 20, 25 overs in that test match. He's a good 3-4 overs bowler who just comes and does something in T20 cricket. He's a very, very good cricketer. But if he's giving with 20, 25 overs in a test match, you already won it. So I won't pay too much heed to that. I would just say, what did I see about Crow? Because after 50 tests, if you're averaging in the 20s, really you've had enough. You're there because there's no one else around. But England is one side that at least has options. Varied options available to it. Very few other teams do at the moment. I would still go with Pope because I read an interesting article by Alistair Cook where he said when Pope is keen, he gets 100. Vettel hasn't even got a first class 100 yet. So it's a tricky one. It'll be interesting to see how they go, but I just think their strength lies in Root, Brook, Stokes, Smith. 4, 5, 6, 7. You've got to get into those as quickly as possible. If they're coming in with a game set, you're in trouble. It's very strong. In those conditions, strong batting lineup. What they will also do is they will come hard, actually. And the most underrated player in there, for some reason, everybody talks about Crawley. He's a posh player to talk about. Ollie Pope is a posh player to talk about. Oh, Root is great. Oh, Brook is wow. There's a fellow there no one talks about. And he takes games away from you better than Pope does, better than Crawley does, better than Root does. His name is Ben Duckett. No one talks about him. Unfashionable. He takes games away faster than other people.
Shoaib Bashir, England's only spinner. What do you make of him?
I like what I've seen, but I think you can put pressure on him. The English county system, for a long time, we in India didn't know how to produce fast bowlers. I don't think England knows how to produce spin bowler. And luckily for them, Stokes and McCullum have seen something there. The county system does not want to see in Shoaib Bashir what these people are seeing in him. He's got 60 test wickets now, right? 55, 60 test wickets in no time. He gets 3 wickets in county cricket and becomes player of the match in a test match. So they're using him well. He's got height. He'll get bounce. We saw him bowl well in India, but we also saw that he's inexperienced, that if you put pressure on him, he'll concede runs. But if I was a young Shoaib Bashir, I would ask for nothing more than what Stokes and McCullum are giving. It's incredible what they've given him. The sanctity of the security of a place in the side, irrespective of what everyone else is done.
It's been less than 48 hours and South Africa finally showed off the Joker's tag. But what a wonderful game of Test cricket, right, Harsha?
And my favorite. I love Temba Bavuma, man. I love them. I'll tell you something very interesting. You pick up character through small things. And I think Quinton de Kock had done something wrong and Temba Bavuma had to address the media. And I loved how respectfully she spoke about Quinton de Kock while admitting that Quinton had done something wrong. And I caught there, I just looked at him and I said, this man's a good leader. And this was a couple of years ago. And see how everybody is waiting for Temba Bavuma to fail because that is their story. A man who should not be in the side is there because of his color, is there because of affirmative action. He really shouldn't be there. How can you have Temba Bavuma? He's averaging 55, 60 in his last 10, 12 test matches. And he's such a good captain, such a good measured leader. And that's why I put a tweet yesterday saying, is there a Sia Kolisi? in Tenwa Bumrah. What Sia Kolisi did with that rugby side.
Yeah.
And isn't it a great thing in history, Hrishi? And you must always be sensitive to history. That when I went on that first tour of South Africa, South Africa that existed a year before that, their best bowler would not have been allowed near a cricket ground. And their outstanding captain would not be allowed near a cricket ground. And Kagiso Rabada and Tenwa Bumrah. What more do you want?
Lovely.
Fantastic. I love that. I love that game.
Just a few questions on you before we wrap. I mean, yeah.
Good. I thought you're interesting topic so far.
I mean, I marvel at this amazing career in broadcast. I mean, you began commentating All India Radio when you were just 19. Do you remember a memorable story from those early days that you can share with us, please?
Very, very much so. I remember sitting there watching my seniors broadcast, but that's not what I'm watching. What I'm watching and what I'm hearing is not always the same. And it taught me to be accurate in my descriptions on radio. And I remember sitting there and thinking, name. And also, the senior commentator threw me at the deep end when drinks came. Drinks interval is 3 minutes. What do you do for 3 minutes all by yourself? And he did the scorecard and left. And I'm stuck for the next 2.5 minutes all by myself, 19-year-old kid. I still remember she telling myself, जब मैं senior बनूंगा ना, मैं मुश्किल situation संभाल के, I didn't then get the killing. So I remember that very well. It stayed with me even now. Look, there's a difficult situation, do it yourself first, then get the killing, the newcomer in.
You've been vegetarian since you were 17. What motivated that decision? I mean, how has it impacted your life?
Not at all. It's just a personal choice. I was the one for whom non-veg food came into the house. And look, I'm not an activist vegetarian, but I don't know if I should tell the story of why I turned vegetarian because it might impact others, but I didn't like what I saw. Okay, I'll tell the story anyway. I mean, everyone's free to make their own choices. This is December 77, and my 12th standard exams are March 78. It's the first year when ISC has gone to March 78. And you know how it is 3 months before you're finishing portions. In the school holidays, you go for extra classes so that the batch is made ready for the exams. But there's no school bus. So we change buses. So I get off at Sangeet in Secunderabad, walk across to Clock Tower to catch the next bus to go to school. And every day I go past the same shop. And one day I look into the eyes of the children. I'm vegetarian after that.
I can imagine. So you're an engineer.
No, an engineering graduate.
Graduate, yeah. Do you get along with any of the other engineering graduates in cricket? Srinath, Kumble, Ashwin, K. Shrikant, Mr. Venkataraghwan, and do you even discuss your days in engineering college and have a laugh when you meet?
What is common to all those names suggested?
They're all from the south.
Yes. The old thing is Erapalli Prasanna.
Erapalli Prasanna. Yeah.
And I learned Erapalli Prasanna was a engineering graduate when at one of the airports, I'm trying to remember if it was Indore or Nagpur or one of these airports, where he took out a little serviette and started drawing the forces on a cricket ball. And I don't know how much of physics he'll come, but he talked about the two forces and where the resultant force comes in. So you could have a force from this direction, and the resultant force could be zero, or they could add. But he talked about the resultant force on a ball which causes it to dip. And he said the ball's coming like this, and then it will dip like this. He actually drew diagrams for me. And I said, engineering has not left this man. I hear that with Ashwin. I hear that with Anil Kumble. I think an engineering education, like any good education, makes you think and challenge situations and numbers and allows you not to be afraid of numbers and understand science. And I think Ashwin's success is in a large part because he understands the whole reality of spin bowling. When will it dip more? When will it drift more? When will it drop more? He's understood that. I think it makes a huge difference. It's very understated. I find it very, very disturbing when people claim their lack of education as a badge of honor. यार मुझे तो मार्क्स मिले ही नहीं है, मेरा ना 10th स्टैंडर्ड में मैथमेटिक्स समझ में ही नहीं आया यार, मैं ना स्कूल ड्रॉप आउट हूँ. एज इट योर सक्सेस इज बिकॉज यू वर बैड एट एजुकेशन. नो, you succeeded in spite of the fact that you were bad at education. So I like it when I hear stories, man. But yes, I don't discuss engineering with them. But interesting, there's another character, Akash Madwal. He said to me in a post-match conference, Ajay, हम engineering सीखे ना, math situation जल्दी समझ आता है. I said, okay, if you think so.
How many hours of prep do you still put in the evening or night or early morning before you're going to call a game or broadcast?
About half an hour for the T20 game, because a lot of the prep is done by somebody else. So you pick what you think is important. And I carry a little note about this size. I have 2 or 3 of these with me when I go to a T20 game. Always with me. It's become a bit of a joke with people saying, oh, where are your little pieces of paper now? But I'll put in there head-to-head games, what happened on the surface, on a different page. So yeah, about half an hour for a T20 game now. But the next couple of days, because there's lots of time on a test match broadcast, next couple of days will be all about reading what India was saying.
Lovely.
Also, I'm hosting a little bit again. I haven't hosted for ages. I've only hosted a little bit for ICC tournaments. Those are little 17-minute free shows, which are very tight and compact. So I'm also hosting a little bit again. I'm hoping Sanjana does most of it, but she's very good. I like being with young anchors who are very good at their job. There's so many talented young anchors coming. I really think, yeah, we did something right. That I don't know if we were the inspiration, but there's so many good young anchors around.
Of course you are. Of course you are. You co-authored The Winning Way, wrote biographies like Azhaar. Do you enjoy that, writing? Do you see yourself doing more and more of that?
There's a stage in life when you can. And I think, I don't know if I have another book in me. But if it is, it'll just be a story of 40, 45 years in broadcasting. I don't know if anyone would be interested in it. But there's a stage in life when you can do certain things. Because you have the excitement of doing things. You can spend long hours doing things, not knowing what the outcomes will be. I enjoyed writing Azhaar because I had a lot of time and I understood the ethos, but I enjoyed writing The Winning Way more than any. Because it was with Anita, it was a combined effort, it was respect from both sides from what you were trying to do, and you did 150,000 copies in today's era. Which book does 150,000 copies? Yeah.
Your favorite city or place in England and why?
I like London on a good summer day. I mean, Birmingham is growing on me in the last 2 or 3 times that I've visited there. But most important for me is a good summer. I don't like the damp. And as you get older, traveling becomes a little more stressful. So I don't like the damp because, inherently, and I don't know, you grew up in Mumbai or did you grow up in the South?
No, I actually interestingly grew up in Calcutta.
There you go.
Yeah.
At least in Calcutta, you know a little bit of the cold. You do. You don't understand cold. So we find it very difficult to pack for damp, cold conditions. And we don't like those. Our instinct is to put on a t-shirt like I'm wearing now. So I'm hoping it's a good summer place. And it's good for India also. Good summer is good for India and damp summer is not good.
Your favorite ground or stadium in England and why?
I used to like Trent very much. Nottingham, there's no test match there this time because I found it was warm and friendly. And on my early couple of years, it came after shocking, forgettable experiences at Lord's, which was a horrible, horrible place to go to cover cricket. So suddenly from going there to meeting polite people at Trent Bridge, I loved the old ground. I loved how they built new stands, but had kept that old pavilion there. I like Trent Bridge. I like the Oval. Lord's, I think, is learned its lesson and is more welcoming now.
Lovely. There you have it. India's Tour of England, 3:30 p.m. onwards, June the 20th. The first test starts. It's live on Sony Sports 10.1 and Sony Sports 10.5. And if you're looking for Hindi and regional languages, Sony Sports 10.3 in Hindi and Sony Sports 10.4 in Tamil and Telugu. Please choose your language. Harsha Bhogle is part of the English panel. He's going to be hosting along with Sanjana. So that's something we look forward to again. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
Cheers, Hrishi. And I hope that voice remains as beautiful. You've got a lovely voice. I hope it remains like that long time.
Thank you. You're kind. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
94.3 Radio 1.